There are all kinds of videos all over YouTube about dating red flags, but why aren't there any for your client red flags? Because there are a lot of them. And today we are talking all about client red flags that you can avoid like whatever else you want to, because it is so important to pay attention to these client red flags and avoid legal trouble as much as possible. I'm Vander, Wielen, an attorney turned entrepreneur who helps online coaches and service providers legally protect and grow their online businesses. And more than anything, I probably help them avoid a lot of bad clients. So I'm really excited to chat about it with you today. You can catch me here on YouTube each week sharing my best legal tips and business advice, helping you learn how to legally protect and grow your online brand. So if you want, stick around, make sure you hit subscribe before you go, like this video, and ring the bell so that you'll get a notification each week when I post a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to teach you the 5 major client red flags to watch out for so you can avoid headaches, boundary pushers, legal trouble, unpaid invoices, and so much more. So let's get into it. Okay, the first client red flag that you want to keep an eye out for are those clients who make lots of special requests and expect for you to make the whole world, aka your business in this case, adjust to accommodate them. Now, let's just clear the elephant in the room that I am not talking about anytime anybody asks you a question or asks you to make a change or asks for a payment plan or something like this. I'm not talking about just hacking any of those clients, right? It's really a case-by-case basis. And I think once you've dealt with these different kinds of cases, you'll be able to clearly see oh, that's what you're talking about, right? So I'm not talking about somebody who just asked you a simple question, asked for a simple accommodation. That's a different story. I am talking about, and I have seen it myself, and I have seen lots of other people do it too with my customers, people who ask you literally to rewrite your business and your offerings, right? The way that you work with people. So they will ask people to work with them in a way that's completely different than what they offer. They want more time, more money, less money. People want to exchange things instead of paying for it, all kinds of stuff. But in my opinion, and in my experience in the past, when people ask you to really twist yourself into a pretzel in order to accommodate them in a big way, it tends to be a PETA client coming hot for you. And if you don't know what PETA stands for, we'll put it right here, but we'll bleep it out. So they might be a PETA client, right, in the making, and that's somebody who you, in my opinion, want to avoid. The second coaching red flag that you want to keep an eye out for when it comes to clients, future clients, is a client who will not sign your contract. Now, it's so interesting being an attorney who helps online coaches and service providers. I hear from people all the time who want to buy my legal templates, want to buy the ultimate bundle, but they're nervous because they're like, if I have a really legit contract, aren't I going to scare somebody off, right? And I always have to remind people, first off, that traditionally lawyer drafted contracts, I know what you've maybe seen in movies or you've heard about with really big business deals or something like that. But a simple client coaching agreement, for example, shouldn't be more than just a couple of pages, few pages. So it's not like you're handing them over a stack of a book and asking them to sign away their firstborn or anything like that. You are simply doing what is normal in business when you send somebody a contract, right? People sign and agree to things all day long, probably that they don't even remember doing, right? Every time you update your iPhone, for example, you agree to something. But it's really important for you to stand strong in this and know that you're not doing anything abnormal or that you don't deserve. And so you deserve to be able to send your customers a contract. You deserve to be able to have it in writing that you're owed this amount by this date, or that this will be provided and this won't be provided. And you deserve to have that legal protection. The other thing that's really important for you to know about contracts is that contracts protect you and your client, right? Because your client also wants to be assured that you're going to show up, that you're going to provide the service or the product for that price, right? That if you stop showing up, they can get their money back or not owe you additional money. So there are all kinds of things in a contract that also protect your client. So I think it is a mega, mega big red flag, like a Clifford the Big Red Dog says red flag, when somebody says, I will not sign your contract, right? That is not somebody who I would take the risk of working with. And I would encourage you to think about the fact that if they will not agree to signing your contract, it's because they intend to get out of it. and if somebody intends to get out of it or wants to be able to cleanly get out of it if they want to, that's not a healthy relationship for you to be in. So we want to make sure that you are protected. We're also doing really what's best for them. And as long as your contracts are fair and equitable, which they should be, right, then there's really no harm. So they should sign your contract. Anybody who won't, bye. The third client red flag that I would look for is when you get that pita in your stomach. So not that pit in your stomach, but that pita in your stomach feeling when you can tell that somebody is just going to be a giant pain in the tuchus, honestly. So I remember when I first started in online business, left the law, I had a health coaching business. And I was so nervous about building my business. I guess I would use the word desperate because I really wanted to make it work. That I remember people would set up my free discovery call and maybe they would get referred to me through somebody I knew or something like that. And I was so eager to just make it work, even though I had this pita in my stomach, right? I knew from just talking with them, they were going to be a huge pain in my tuchus. Whether it was because they were asking for all these over-the-top accommodations, they weren't maybe very nice. I remember somebody being kind of demeaning, condescending towards me, that kind of stuff, right? Really feeling like they didn't really match the kind of client that you were trying to work with. And I don't mean that in an entitled way, because sometimes I think people take this a little too far and are like, you have to be a dreamy client, everything, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you can't do that when you're a business owner. You're just trying to make things work, right? You need to make a living, and that's okay too. So I don't think that every client necessarily is going to give you that Sound of Music feeling. But I do think that when you have that pit in your stomach telling you this is not a good fit, there's just something about this person that doesn't feel right, I would listen to that. And I also think that what happens in those relationships is that, your intuition tends to be right. Sometimes we're wrong, but it tends to be right. And when you're actually coaching that person, you might not be able to give them the best experience because you're not feeling it, right? So I would listen to that intuitive feeling if and when you get it. If something feels off, I would pay attention to that. And for any of you who are a newer business owner, I completely hear you and I see you that you're but I need clients. I want to get this to work. I need some income. Yes. And it doesn't have to be with that person, right? You can spend that time that you would spend with this PITA client marketing your business to the right person who you will feel really proud of working with and who makes you feel valuable and helpful, right? And all of that. And then who actually leads to a good testimonial and all that. I wanted to share a quick personal story with you that I remember taking on a client that I felt this way about when I had my health coaching business because I knew this person through a friend. And so I took him on as a client. I dreaded every single session that I went into. I didn't find that I was very helpful. I didn't feel like I was very helpful because I just didn't feel like we clicked. I didn't feel like he was listening. I didn't feel like he really needed my help, right? And so I took him on out of feeling like I had to, out of obligation. I think he might have done the same. And looking back on it, I just really wish I would have said, it doesn't sound like I'm what you're looking for, and I could refer you to somebody else. And then I could have spent that time looking for somebody who, we really would have meshed with. So that's just some little advice over those pit in the stomach feelings you might be getting when you talk to a new client. The fourth client red flag is also something that happened to me when I had my health coaching business. Another red flag I want you to look out for are overly nosy and inquisitive clients. So sometimes when your business gets up and running a little bit, you will start to get clients who ask you a lot of questions where you're you're really interested in the back end of my business. Not questions about the substance of what you do, but questions about hey, so what system are you using to email people? And how are you, what's this portal that you're setting up your clients in and things like that. And I had this happen with somebody. I had that pit in my stomach, didn't listen to it, right? I was still a baby entrepreneur at the time. And it turned out a couple of sessions in, she asked me to cancel her remaining payments, which wasn't an option, because she decided to start her own health coaching business. So sometimes what you will see in this business is that people will work with you in order to start their own thing and do it as like a little bit of research. It's very rare, but if you get somebody who does that and your spidey senses are up of like, this doesn't quite feel right, I would definitely pay attention to that. The fifth client red flag that I would look for is our favorite red flag, and also, unfortunately, the most common, which is the boundary pusher. So with the boundary pusher, this is somebody who doesn't respect your time, doesn't respect the way that you work, won't honor your contract or your agreement, won't honor multiple and repeated attempts at resetting the relationship and the conversation. And more than anything of what I'm concerned about for you is that they won't respect your scope of practice. So that's something that I see a lot, is that, you know, it's not an ideal client for you if somebody doesn't understand that you can't offer a certain service in a certain way or certain advice, or you can't do certain things for them, and they continue to push and to ask for it. Something else I see, I think most common with my customers are people who just don't respect their time, or like the way that support is offered. For example, like texting is not allowed, but they keep texting them, or they say no texting on the weekends, or that if they text on the weekends, you know, they don't get back until Monday, but then this client will get upset with the person for not responding back. So I see a lot of that kind of stuff. And for me, it's not, again, not like somebody does one misstep and you just boot them to the door. We're more talking about people who do this repeatedly, who are unwilling to have that kind of conversation with you about this, and who are making you feel uncomfortable, unheard, you know, not valued in the relationship. Then it's really important that you end things with those clients. About that, so how do you properly, you might be thinking as you're watching this video, like, well, what if this is a current client? How do I boot a current client? Because doesn't that bring up legal issues? Yes, it does. And I actually have a blog post for you that I will link to below. You can let me know in the comments if you want me to do a video on this here on YouTube about how to properly fire a client. But there are some steps that you want to take and to make sure that you do correctly. And I talk about them. I have an entire blog post dedicated to how to properly fire a client. So I'll link to that in the description below. So when it comes to legally protecting your business, I help online coaches and service providers try to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen as much as possible. Actually, inside my Ultimate Bundle, I even have trainings for my customers on how to have sales calls the right way, how to onboard clients, how to pre-qualify people, so that we make sure we actually avoid these situations, or maybe even these types of clients entirely. So if you want to learn more about how to avoid these types of clients, how to navigate these issues, and how to make sure you have the legal stuff in place to make sure you're legally protected on your end, watch my free legal workshop, 5 steps to legally protect and grow your online business. It's a free 1-hour training where I teach you my 5-step strategy to holistically and completely protecting your online business, from everything about contracts to website policies to how to form your business the right way, and even how to keep copycats off your content. So click the link in the description below. Leave me a comment letting me know if this video was helpful, and I hope to see you here on YouTube next week.